The rain poured relentlessly as Lila stood outside the Grand Hotel, clutching a crumpled wedding invitation in her trembling hand. Her ex, Ethan, was getting married, to her former best friend. She told herself she wouldn't go. Yet here she was, her heart still tangled in the past. Just as she turned to leave, a sleek black car stopped beside her. The door opened, and out stepped Adrian Cole, the mysterious young CEO everyone in the city whispered about. Tall, composed, with an aura of quiet strength. He noticed her soaked figure and hesitated. "Are you okay, miss?" he asked softly. In that moment, something inside her broke. Tears spilled down her face as she whispered, "Can you pretend to be my date? Just for one day?" Adrian blinked, surprised, but something in her eyes made him pause. Not desperation, but quiet dignity. "You want me to go to your ex's wedding, as your date?" he repeated. She nodded, cheeks flushed. He studied her for a moment, then extended his hand. "All right," he said, a faint smile touching his lips. "Let's make them believe you've moved on." Lila stared in disbelief as he led her toward the entrance, his hand warm against hers. For the first time in years, she didn't feel invisible. What she didn't know was that Adrian wasn't just helping her. He saw something of himself in her pain. And this act of kindness was about to change both their lives. The hotel ballroom shimmered with golden lights and laughter. Every corner whispered luxury, every face turned to watch as Lila entered, her hand still in Adrian's. She had borrowed her cousin's pale blue dress, but beside the Millionaire CEO, she looked like she belonged to a different world. Her ex, Ethan, froze mid-conversation when he saw her. His new bride, Sophie, followed his gaze, her perfect smile faltering. The whispers began immediately. "That's Lila, and who's the man with her?" Adrian leaned down, his voice calm and protective. "Just smile," he murmured, his hand tightening around hers. "You're doing great." Lila exhaled slowly. "I can't believe I'm doing this," she whispered. "Neither can I," he said lightly. "But you asked beautifully." They laughed softly, the tension breaking just enough for her to breathe. For the first time, she didn't feel like the broken one left behind. She felt seen. As dinner began, Ethan approached them, his pride wrapped in politeness. "Lila," he said with a forced smile, "you didn't mention you were dating someone like him." Adrian met his gaze calmly. "It happened quickly," he said. "She's an extraordinary woman. I'm lucky." Lila blinked in surprise. He said it so easily, like he meant it. Ethan's smile twitched, jealousy flickering in his eyes. Sophie clung tighter to his arm. Later, as the music played and Adrian led Lila onto the dance floor, she whispered, "Why are you being so kind to me?" He looked at her for a long moment. "Because once someone helped me when I thought I was nothing. I'm just returning the favor." Lila felt her throat tighten. For the first time in years, her heart began to heal, not because of revenge, but because someone believed she was worth being seen. The music slowed to a gentle rhythm, and Adrian guided Lila across the dance floor with effortless grace. His hand rested lightly on her back, his touch steady, reassuring. For everyone watching, they looked like a perfect couple, elegant, confident, in love. But inside, Lila's heart raced for another reason entirely. She wasn't used to kindness that expected nothing in return. Adrian's quiet strength unsettled her, the way he protected her from whispers and shielded her from curious eyes. It felt too real. Too sincere. "Everyone's staring," she murmured, looking down. "Then let's give them something to remember," he said softly, spinning her as the lights glittered across her face. For a brief, fleeting moment, she laughed, a sound she hadn't made in months. After the dance, they escaped to the terrace overlooking the city. The air was cool, the noise of the ballroom fading behind them. "Why were you really outside alone earlier?" Adrian asked gently. Lila hesitated, then exhaled. "I thought I was over him. I told myself I could handle seeing him happy, but when I got here, I realized I never got closure. I just disappeared from his story." Adrian nodded, his gaze thoughtful. You didn't disappear, Lila. You just stopped being part of his story. Maybe it's time to start your own. She looked up, surprised by the warmth in his voice. You sound like someone who's lived that. He smiled faintly. Maybe I have. There was something in his tone, a shadow of loss she couldn't place. And in that moment, Lila realized the man beside her wasn't just a stranger doing her a favor. He was someone carrying his own scars. And somehow, their broken pieces seemed to fit together perfectly. The night had grown quiet, the hum of laughter fading into the soft city sounds beyond the terrace. Lila leaned against the railing, her blue dress catching the moonlight. Adrian stood beside her, looking out over the skyline, distant, reflective. You talk like someone who's lost something, she said gently. Adrian's jaw tightened. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he sighed. A few years ago, I was engaged. Her name was Claire. We built dreams together, but when my business started collapsing, she left. Said she couldn't be with a failure. Lila's chest ached. So you rebuilt everything, alone? He nodded. Sometimes success feels like revenge. But then you stand in a room full of people and still feel empty. There was silence, heavy and honest. Then Lila whispered, I know that feeling. I gave everything to Ethan. He took my kindness as weakness and left me like I never mattered. Adrian turned to her, his eyes steady. You mattered. You still do. You just gave your love to the wrong person. Their eyes locked, and something shifted, something fragile yet powerful. For the first time that night, there were no pretenses. No acting. Just two people stripped of pride and pain, seeing each other clearly. Inside, the music swelled again. Someone called Adrian's name. It seemed the groom's father wanted to meet him. Lila blinked, confused. Wait, they know you? He smiled faintly. The Coles invested in this hotel years ago. This place is mine. Lila stared, stunned. You're the owner? Adrian gave a small shrug. And tonight your date. Her lips trembled into a smile. You didn't have to say yes to me, Adrian. I didn't have to, he said quietly. But I wanted to. Back inside, the lights glowed warmer, the night unfolding like a final act either of them expected. Adrian was quickly surrounded. Handshakes, polite nods, admiration. Everyone wanted a moment with the famous seal who had quietly built an empire. Yet, his gaze always drifted back to Lila, who stood near the edge of the room, uncertain but glowing in a way she hadn't in years. Then came the announcement. A toast from our special guest, Mr. Adrian Cole. Lila's heart sank. You don't have to. But Adrian was already stepping forward, a glass in hand. His deep voice silenced the room. To love, he began. Not the kind that looks perfect in photos, but the kind that survives broken dreams and lonely nights. Sometimes we lose people who were never meant to stay, so we can meet those who teach us what love truly means. The room fell silent. Lila's eyes filled with tears. He looked directly at her as he finished. Here's to second chances, and the courage to begin again. A soft murmur rippled through the crowd. Ethan shifted awkwardly beside his new wife, guilt flickering across his face. But Lila didn't care anymore. She wasn't here to hurt him, she was free. When Adrian returned to her side, she whispered, You didn't have to make that about me. He smiled gently. Maybe it wasn't just about you. Outside, as the night ended, Adrian took her hand once more. One day was supposed to be pretend, he said. But it stopped feeling like that hours ago. Lila's voice trembled. So what now? He squeezed her hand. No, he said softly. We stopped pretending. Under the rain that had started again, two strangers who met out of heartbreak began something real, born not from pain, but from kindness.